Good morning. Day 7, we have a new guinea pig with us today. Lisa, you may recognize Lisa. She teaches a little bit behind the scenes. We've been trying to corral her into getting into some live classes for you guys. So maybe this is a baby step, I don't know. You've probably seen her with some of the workshops and rolling with Nancy. So we'll do a little bit of fun torture with yoga with Lisa this morning. And hopefully you guys are doing okay. I know we're about 3 months into this and it's a long road ahead, but one day at a time, right? And today is all about contentment. So the second niyama, santosha, contentment, not even necessarily being happy, not being unhappy. It's more of an allowance, right? Allowing things to be just as they are. It kind of builds, is the sum of everything that's come before, the yamas and the niyamas. And it's more about allowing yourself to respond in the moment, consciously, with intention. So not trying to make what is different than it is, but accepting what's there and then moving forward very intelligently. Maybe not very intelligently, but intentionally. How about that? There is a quote that basically says discontentment is the illusion that there will be something different than what is in the moment. So just allowing your practice to be what it is. Whatever shows up is perfect, and we work with that. Today, Lisa's going to work with you with some deep lunges. We will work towards a bound side angle. We'll play with destroying bird of paradise. So if you want to grab even a dish rag works, a t-shirt you don't mind stretching out a little. If you want a little extra room as you get arms behind you. Realizing the goal is never to do the perfect physical posture, and that perfect as defined by your Yoga Sutras is the asana is a comfortable, stable position, and perfection is loosening up of the effort and eventually getting to that Shavasana place. So with that in mind, we'll get going. We're going to start in a little bit of ragdoll. So you can start anywhere on your mat. Maybe you're just standing in the middle of your kitchen. You're huddled in your bathroom for a few minutes by yourself. Great. Get your feet nice and wide and drop your head. Now you can take a deep bend in your knees. You can move around. Maybe that's helpful to get the breath moving, helpful to get you into your physical body. So just 5 really good breaths. You can let gravity kind of feel it start to trickle down the length of your spine. Maybe you gotta give a little wiggle to the hips, to the shoulders. Maybe it's a gentle shaking of your head, yes and no. But you're gonna drop your jaw. You take 1 or 2 more breaths, really deep, really heavy. Don't worry about ujjayi breath. You want to let go of maybe just the tension in your jaw, your neck, shoulders. Start there. Your body's pretty brilliant. You don't need details, okay? So as you start to feel your feet again, you're going to feel them work underneath you. Just hips width is fine. As you inhale to a long spine, you can take palms to shins, roll the shoulders, and we'll step to high plank. Taking a moment to squeeze your legs, right? Arms, shoulders automatically active. Don't forget about the legs like you had a block to squeeze. You're gonna activate those biscuits and come through low plank, knees are up or down, and then open the heart, right? But finish the breath, rinse down the spine. Perfect. Exhale, downward facing, hips are up and back. Yeah, you can settle in here, just a couple of breaths, bending into knees. You're gonna drive your sits bones up and back. Keep in mind those heels of yours do not ever, I repeat, ever need to get to the floor. It's just a matter of comfort. It might feel good to press them in that direction, stretch the calves and Achilles, but keep in mind that is not the goal. The goal is you feeling good in your body. All right, as you work your feet a little closer together, reach your right foot to the sky and peel open. You can bend a knee if that feels good. As you peel the hip open, don't forget to press the left hip under. Squeeze a little strength in that left knee and see if you can't get just a little more stretch through the front of that hip, right? Through the side body. Yeah, a little flex of those little toes. If you haven't awoken them just yet, fill up 1 breath. And as you exhale, knee towards your nose, step to low lunge. Pause to lengthen the spine, right? Engage the hips, and we're gonna press right into standing leg split, with a little bit of focus of more of that ragdoll. So kind of gently pressing the heart towards the thigh. Again, you can take a deeper bend in the knee. Lifting the heel a little, just enough so you feel active in the hamstring and you're supported in both hips. 2 breaths. Drop your head a little heavier, find the palms, and release to fold. A little bit of your own rhythm. Lengthen to flat back, and forward fold. All the way to standing. 1 breath, hips press, maybe gaze to follow fingers, and exhale, Uttanasana, release. Lengthen. And it's a Chaturanga Dandasana through Lota. Open your heart, but you can take maybe Cobra. Maybe you skip it and go right to Down Dog, but if you open, finish the breath, right? Open the throat and Down Dog when you're ready. So most of this is with breath, not necessarily on breath. Left toes are reaching. You're going to peel the hip open. Maybe you're peeling the shoulders open. Right? Maybe you're taking more of a flip dog or wild thing. Really doesn't matter. Just be present in the body. Right? You're working with what's there. You're not trying to force anything. Contentment. Support your body because it supports you day in and day out. You're going to bring your knee towards your nose. As you step to that low lunge, pause to lengthen, squeeze around the hip joints so they're level, they're square-ish. We're going to step right into standing leg split. So again, a little more about that fold over the front thigh is all, and whether you do that with a little more gravity, right, letting shoulders hang a little heavier, maybe it's actually bending a little into that standing knee that's going to help you hinge from the hips, or maybe you're reaching for your ankle, kind of like we do with some of the ragdoll variations. Padangustasana, Padahastasana. You take 1 more breath, lift that heel, find the hamstring, feel the biscuits, and release to fold. So stronger in breath. Lengthen and fold. Ujjayi breath. Reach all the way to standing. Legs are strong. And exhale, fold. Flat back to pause. This time we're going to step back to high plank and come all the way down to your mat. We're going to set up that little bit of shoulder stretch because, as mentioned, we're going to do a little bit of bind. So tucking your chin, find the forehead. As you engage the back side of your body, find the palms to press. Little baby cobra through either table or right into flat, high plank. And we're going to set up downward facing. This time, as you arrive, you're going to get a good breath in and a better breath out. Yeah, left foot's going to step to low lunge. Pause here. Squeeze into those hips. You're reaching airplane arms behind you, right? So you're starting to press the hips away from the mat. A little bit of buoyancy. You got the ball of your back foot, which is super important. You can press yourself front to back, lift a little, sink a little. You have a lot of range of movement off the ball of your back foot. So right biscuit is strong. And again, just like you did, interlacing hands behind you, rinsing the shoulders, work the stretch across the front of the heart. And, whether you have this low lunge, maybe you're almost lifted, anywhere in between is perfect. You're going to set up where it allows you to breathe, okay, where it allows you to work the stretch across the front of your chest, the front of your shoulders. And keeping the bind, we're rising up through Warrior One. You can adjust the feet, back heel sinks, and take a moment to refine that little bit of lunge component in the front of the right hip. So again, squeeze the glute, press gently that right hip forward underneath you. And those breaths in start to lift the heart, right? You're squeezing the belly in, rolling the shoulders down as you rinse. Don't forget about rinsing the elbows, the triceps, those little suckers get a squeeze, fill up, maybe lift the gaze, and then we'll find humble warrior. So not a lot of effort here. You might even soften the shoulders a bit. It's kind of a trick, if you will, to get into some of these postures like arm balances and binds. You got to find equal amounts of ease, not just work. You're not just strong arming yourself into these postures. So again, drop the jaw, drop your head heavy too. And then we're going to drop slowly the palms, reaching through Warrior One. And then we'll open to Warrior Two. Again, getting into a little bit of stretch here. Wiggle out feet. You're going to press the left hip under. You're not just peeling the right hip open. So equal activity in the hips. You're going to reverse the warrior if you'd like, and we'll set up side angle lunge. So that left elbow rests gently on the thigh. Maybe over the course of 3 breaths, you're wiggling fingers in the direction of the floor. Finding a little bit of stretch in that front hamstring, groin, still pressing the left hip under. Fill up one more breath to reach, and then exhale, drop the palms to step high plank. Knees are up or down. Right? Go with whatever's getting you to breathe as you chaturanga to low plank. We'll open the heart. Filling up, there's no rush. You might linger a few breaths, tabletop or straight to down dog when you're ready. And we'll step to the opposite side. So that low lunge, right? Hips are active, airplane arms are starting to set up. And again, you got the ball of your back foot. Shimmy around, you're settling in with some buoyancy to level hips, square hips. Finding the Ujjayi breath as you exhale to stay connected to the belly, and we'll start to interlace the hands. Yeah, rinse triceps, elbows, right? As you wiggle into the rinse in the shoulders, make sure you're wiggling into some length up the sides of your neck. Perfect. One more breath here. You can feel free to adjust your feet. Right, you're not stuck here, but we're sweeping up to warrior one, still bound, right? Still working the stretch across the front of the shoulders, chest, pressing into a little bit of stretch on that left hip. So squeeze the biscuit, and with those inhales, start to draw the length up the front line of your body. You know, if you lift your gaze, great. If that cuts off the breath, just come back. A gentle squaring of your heart, and we'll dive right into humble warrior. Right, keep in mind it's not struggle warrior. Come back to that idea of contentment. Your body is what it is, and you're not trying to change it. You're trying to support it so that it can take what it needs, which is different than what our mind conceives often. 3, 2, a little rounding of the spine, right? Remember to drop the jaw. Maybe you're toe heeling, wobbling all over the place. Maybe you just drop your palms, it's the same pose. Right? Contentment. A little bit of allowance for where you are, and we'll sweep back through warrior one, getting a little bit smoother, starting to tie breath and movement as you open to warrior two. Again, level hips, both hips are active, and we'll flip palms to reverse. If you want that, take it. Otherwise, side angle lunge, coming right into it. Remember that back hip peels open, but you're also pressing the front hip under. So equal action in the hips. That work over time is going to take some of the work out of it because your muscles draw your bones and joints into alignment, right? Premises of acro yoga. So as you reach those little fingers towards the ground, initiating a little more stretch in that groin hamstring, fill up one more. Yeah, nice job. And drop palms to step high plank. Active recovery, so take your time. Chaturanga low, knees up or down. Maybe it's cobra, maybe you love a little locust, right? This is your practice. So make it yours. Eventually hips are up and back. And here we go. We're going to put all of that together with, more than anything else, contentment, right? That allowance. So as you step your right foot forward, low lunge. This time we're going to get a little lower. Palms stay down. You can always work with your back knee down. Same pose, but we're going to take your right arm and lace it under the right thigh. And you can stay here. Maybe you use the ball of your back foot to shift a little front to back. Right? Hips are buoyant, sink them, lift them, squeeze them. Invite to reach arms out to a T or airplane arms. Palms are facing the ground. You want to be active here. You're going to press off the ball of the back foot and drive your right shoulder into the back of your calf. A little more work, but you might feel a little stronger here. You can stay. Otherwise, we're interlacing hands behind us. Yeah, a little bit of bind. Again, if this isn't working, grab the shirt, grab your dish rag, bring your back knee down. Squeeze the shoulder blades behind you and wiggle into a little more length up the spine, and we'll start to peel open, bound side angle lunge. So again, back hip peels open, back heel drops, but it's important that you're pressing that front hip under, okay? Whatever you have for a bind is brilliant. Come back to lengthening the spine, stretching the front of the heart open, right? Your pectorals, your chest muscles, not your actual heart, front of shoulders. Now you can stay here. Otherwise, drop your gaze to the floor. You can square your hips a little, and you uchi that back foot up. Pause. Before you lift, remember, it's your arm. It's not your arms that are going to heave-ho the leg up. Your leg can lift itself. So strong in the low back, begin to lift. Bird of paradise. Now, to be honest, I don't know what the paradise part is here. just work with what you got. But the key is this standing biscuit. You're going to squeeze it, press the hip forward like we do in Warrior One, and then shoulder blades press behind you. Again, this right hip is active. It's pressing forward too. And then simply release. Sweep up to standing. You can shake legs, shimmy, shimmy, a little dance out. And then Uttanasana, fold. Inhale to lengthen, and we'll step lunge on the opposite side. Now, if you love yourself a little chaturanga, by all means. Otherwise, find the low lunge first. A little bit lower, we're going to lace the left arm under. So if this is new space for you, go slowly. You're going to find just the, you're not getting your leg over your shoulder. It's not coming over the head. It's just the back of your tricep or elbow somewhere underneath the back of your knee or your hamstring. So remember, you got the ball of your back foot to move around. You can bring your knee down, opening arms out to a T or airplane arms. Remember, press off the ball of the back foot. Even if your knee's down, press the hips forward so that shoulder's pressing into the back of the calf. You want to support bones and joints in this position, so stay active. You're starting to reach arms behind you for that full bind. Grab a shirt, grab your pants, grab the dish rag, and we'll start to peel the back hip open. Both hips are active. Back heel drops, front hip presses under. Eke out the length in the spine. Peel your right shoulder blade behind you, and then slowly shift your gaze to the floor, right? Couple of hops, come up towards ragdoll. You're going to pause. Remember, that leg lifts itself. So knee lifts just like Utthita Hasta. Bring it up with you. Set your gaze somewhere and squeeze that right bum cheek. Press that right hip forward. And then work the shoulder blades behind you, right? Roll them down. Use the arm bind to rinse, just like you did in regular bound positions. One more breath. Yeah, hop all over the place, come on back, and start to release. Nice job. Wiggle it all the way up to standing. Shake a leg if you need. And Uttanasana, fold. Nice job. Inhale to lengthen and step back, chaturanga. Maybe you have jumped to low, maybe you went right for downward facing, but finish the breath if you open. And downward facing. Nice job. So we did a lot of sort of external action there with your bird of paradise, bird of disaster maybe, contentment. It is what it is. Be good to yourself. Bring your right knee up your mat and we'll find a little half pigeon. So we'll reverse that little bit of opening. You can always set this up on your back, but taking a moment to support yourself with blocks under the heart, the hip, your forehead. Make sure knees are in line with your hips. And then a whole lot of allowance. So the goal is never to get yourself to the ground. As we start to stretch out our bodies, we tend to get a little closer. Right? And you're going to feel some muscular stretch, but really the idea is we're getting towards the joint, the hip joint. So attachments. It's not a muscular stretch. I know some of you who take my classes, I tell you this as often as I can without sounding too repetitive, but super important. We're going to come into the opposite side, which might be a little bit different, by the way. As you get settled in, maybe you notice this hip needs perhaps half pigeon on your back. Maybe you needed a little bit of frog, or perhaps something entirely different. Janu Sirsasana, very similar. We'll take those 8 breaths or so. And since this is a little shorter practice, letting yourself move a little closer to that Shavasana state where we tend to feel contentment. Allowance. As you find your palms, gently work through neutral space. You're just going to come up through a seated position. You might take a moment to sit on a block. Placing ourselves on purpose, maybe as simple as dropping the shoulders. If you didn't already, especially now, taking a moment to close your eyes. Inviting a little bit of breath back, feel your jaw drop. 3. Feeling your mind move to heart center. Maybe you bring your palms to follow. Samastita. Bring your thumb knuckles to forehead center, and with so much respect for ourselves, our bodies, this practice, we bow and we say, Namaste.